Hello, 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 you guys. Welcome back to my channel. This is your girl, Najwa. I'm so happy you're here. I'm not happy about the circumstances that we're here, but I'm happy you're here nonetheless. If you are new to this channel, please go ahead and click the like and subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video. Guys, oh my God, this paparazzi chase. Okay, so I literally at like 10:30 last night posted a video about how proud I was to see how beautiful Meghan, Harry, and Doria looked at the Women of Vision Awards. And I got in the bed and we got ready to go to sleep. And I looked at the tablet and an alert came through MSNBC and said that Harry and Meghan was in a high-speed chase with paparazzis and that it was really dangerous. It was near catastrophic. And of course, it was just like an anchor from MSNBC talking to a royal expert. And you know how those royal experts go. But this one, luckily, I mean, thankfully, seemed at least sympathetic to the situation. And it was so crazy. And happy Ascension Day, by the way, for those of you who are Christian or Catholic out there. But happy day to whatever race or creed or religion you might be. I think it is very ironic that the day before Ascension Day, you know, Prince Harry and Meghan faced this horrible tragedy. But you know, it could have been much worse. It could have been near fatal. And I'm so glad that they're all okay. But I definitely wanted to get on here and talk about the way in which it was handled, you know, because there's a bunch of tendrils connected to this. We know about Harry and Meghan's past. We know that in the past, they've dealt with difficulties with the paparazzi, with, you know, the tabloid media coming after them. And at this point, you know, it's just like, I really want to know, what can we do? Something has to be done. Something has to be done. There's no way around it. Hold on for 1 second. Hey, sorry about that. I just had to make sure that the audio was working. After this, I have to say I am quite fed up. I don't want to see anything like this ever happen to them again. I don't want, you know, for Harry to keep reliving the trauma of his mother's death. You know, every time they go to an event, you know, he's got to tense up and clam up to think, you know, the same terrible fate could await not only his wife but even him. You know, I something needs to be done, and maybe my one little voice won't forge a path forward and lots of, you know, great changes will happen. But if all of us squaddies sort of spread the word and send love and prayer and action, you know, if we advocate for things that can make this better, not only for the successes, but for anyone. To imagine anyone, whether you're a celebrity or not, in that situation is just horrendous. So with that being said, let's take a look at this. Like, high level, for me, there's a few things that are wrong with this situation. The first thing is policy, okay? Cities and the actual publication sector itself needs to have efficacy laws in place so that, you know, things like this don't happen, so that there is some sort of standards out there for even members of the paparazzi, members of the media. They can have some level of ethics and safety integrated into their practices. This is barbaric. This is barbaric. This is not where we should be in 2023. So that's the first thing. Policy, I'm not going to say it's easy, but policy is a little bit more cut and dry than changing people's mentality and people's beliefs on something. Now, I work in advertising and marketing. A large part of that is psychology. You know, you see something that's bright and shiny and it's got a big glowing button. You just want to click it and buy it. You know, that's the way that it works. It's something that works within the psychology of oneself. The same thing comes from the place of how we deal with these celebrities. You know, like, things have to be put into place in terms of policy, but there also is a level of awareness and like mentality changes, a mentality shift that needs to happen. Now, governments, you know, this happened on US soil. This did not happen in the UK, but I have no doubt in my mind that many of these were cronies of the trashy UK tabloids. No doubt in my mind. And we're going to get into some of the information in the articles in just a second, but I feel like I have to get this out of the way. Like, really, policy needs to come into place to make cities safer, to make celebrities safer, so that they're not hunted down like animals. And then, beside that, a mentality shift needs to happen. Now, mentality shifts for society are not easy. I think right now, you know, especially with all the scrutiny that Elon Musk is coming under, because Twitter has just become a cesspool of what people are claiming to be free speech, but really it's just hate speech. You know, I think that mentality shifts are coming into play, but it is not easy. It is not easy for governments to put into place systems that change the way a person thinks. You know, it's easier to just create a policy, create a bill, create a law, you know, push it through parliament if you're in the UK, push it through Senate if you're in the US, or however it might be, push it through your local government. But mentality shifts are different. You know, if you think about major mentality shift initiatives with governments, whether it be the US or the UK in the past, whether that have been on smoking, you know, trying to get people to smoke less, or whether that's been on condom use. You know, if you think back to the AIDS HIV pandemic, there had to be some initiatives taken really to shift people's mentality on the way that they viewed safe sex. If you look at things about multiculturalism, the way that our governments have had to place initiatives in place to really change the way that people think about something, it's not easy and a lot of money needs to go into it, but there's no way around that. You know, our social media has made us unsocial. It's made us inhumane. And we just keep going. I mean, these paparazzi scum, they just kept on going after the prize. And this was not just one paparazzi. This was a combination of vehicles, of scooters, of bicycles, an entire mob of people chasing after the Sussexes. Now, I know that I love the Sussexes, but I don't need you to put yourself, pedestrians, and the Sussexes in danger to get this one shot. Society doesn't need that. And so it's not just a policy shift. Yes, it would be great if New York had anti-paparazzi laws in place that sort of prevented this. But it also would be great if we had some common sense. It would be great if those paparazzi had some freaking common sense to say, this is not a good idea. As I've said many times before, this is not a good idea. But that common sense didn't kick in. So take a look at this. When I went on Google, I've told you guys before in the past, something that really, really annoys me is the way, one particular way. I mean, US companies do it too, but US media companies, but it's usually the more right-wing ones. They'll put things into these quotation marks that basically makes it seem like it's saying the people who experience these things didn't, it's alleged, you know. And this CNN article, I told you guys, I am not supporting CNN, not until they get themselves right. After the town hall with Donald Trump, right before that, Don Lemon, get yourself right with your Black constituents, and then maybe we can talk again. CNN posted an article, Prince Harry and Meghan allege near catastrophic chase. Allege near catastrophic chase. Now, the segment that I saw last night before I fell asleep from MSNBC, which is pretty much my go-to of the non-independent news sources, because like I said, CNN is just a hot mess right now. NBC is a little bit too watered down. And so, I'm not even going to consider like The View or Good Day America to actually really be news. So MSNBC is my go-to. And last night when I was looking at the segment that was talking about Prince Harry and Meghan's chase, it showed empathy. It showed like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. It showed I'm worried for them. This rancid stuff from CNN. And you see the same kind of vague contempt in, of course, all of the British sort of media companies. This vague contempt or disbelief or not truly believing that they're telling the truth. It seems very, very bizarre to me. And so I think that the way that we handle this period, like news sources, media sources, they need to be more humane. They need to be more compassionate. They need to be more empathetic. You got two people here who were chased down, and you're going to go and say Prince and Harry's alleged near catastrophic. Allege. Okay, anyway. So let's take a look at this independent UK article. Like you guys know, I'm very, very weary on what I choose to take a look at, which article, which media sources. And independent has its moments, but at least I felt like this was coming from a place of like just spilling out the bare facts for me while also having a level of empathy. So the article is entitled Member of Harry and Meghan Security Detail and Cab Driver Speak Out Following Chaotic Chase. And this is from Andrea Blanco, Joe Middleton, and Chelsea Ritchell. And this was 15 minutes ago. Well, probably 30 minutes ago at this point. And I just want to note that I also feel like the publishing companies, I get it. They get $1 at the end of this. There's a dime and a dollar that comes with this. Yes, they're reporting on this to sort of let us know what's going on and keep us informed to, sort of have a held thought there for the safety of the Sussexes, but they also get a dime and a dollar at the end of the day for this. The other thing I want to note is I don't trust the cab driver. The cab driver seems to take this so lightly, and that mentality of taking truly, truly dangerous, unsafe, unethical situations very lightly. That is a huge characteristic of the derangers. It's a huge characteristic of the crown. And it's a huge characteristic of people who have just been fed lies about Harry and Meghan. So I'm going to go ahead and caveat that. Some of those deranger media type things, they tried to take the words of the statement of what the mayor of New York said and try to spin it around like he didn't believe them. I'm not completely buying that either. I actually felt like what the mayor said came from a place of truly wanting to help, not just with this situation, but with future situations that might come like this. And there was even a point where it might not have been in this article, it might have been another article where they were like, the car crash with Diana quite literally informs a lot of the safety training that comes with paparazzi, celebrities, and law enforcement now. So yes, this could be a learning experience, but I'm so sorry that they even had to go through this as a learning experience. So the article goes on to say a member of the security detail for Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle and a cab driver who transported the couple during a paparazzi chase have both spoken about the incidents. Now, just to condense this down a little bit, for those of you who don't know, I'll just go ahead and explain. Basically, it was alleged from Harry and Meghan and from the limousine driver that the chase in total was like 2 hours. And I say alleged because the way that they kind of make this seem is that they lied about the length of the time of the chase. But I do believe that maybe it wasn't the chase itself that was 2 hours, but this whole ordeal could have been quite long and drawn out. Basically, in my mind, to me, it's saying that Prince Harry and Meghan probably should have arrived back at their hotel or the airport, wherever that they were heading to, quite fairly straightforward, in a straightforward time and manner and fashion. But that didn't happen because the limousine was being chased, and then they hopped into a cab and went straight to the precinct, to the police precinct in New York. And that right there, I'm so proud of them for that. You know, even though it might have been an extra step that didn't need to be taken, I do think that it was very prudent of them to do that. I think that that was very, very smart for them to do that. So, a spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex said that a relentless pursuit unfolded after the couple and Miss Markle's mother, Doria Ragland, attended an awards ceremony in New York City. The 2-hour-long chase reportedly resulted in multiple near collisions involving other drivers on the road, pedestrians, and 2 NYPD officers. Guys, this is just so sad. I think that those paparazzis were so irresponsible, because they weren't just thinking about, I mean, they weren't even thinking about themselves. Like, put yourself in those shoes. I get it. You want to make a little bit of money. I get it. You want to make your change. But you seriously going to put your own life at risk for that? I don't get it. So it goes on to say, Chris Sanchez, a member of the couple's security team, told CNN on Wednesday that he had never come close to the chaos he experienced on Tuesday night. It goes on to say, what we were dealing with was very chaotic. There were about a dozen vehicles, cars, scooters, and bicycles, Mr. Sanchez said. The public was in jeopardy at several points. It could have been near fatal. They were jumping curbs and red lights. Now, I'm imagining this, especially, I don't have any children yet, but to think about Harry and Meghan as parents, good Lord, to think about a dozen cars, scooters, bicycles, chaos behind you, chasing after you, putting pedestrians in danger, putting police officers in danger, jumping curbs and running red lights. I mean, that sounds like a scene from a movie. And for anybody to minimize this, like this wasn't as big as it was, shame on them. Scum is what I say to that. So it goes on to say, at one point, they blocked the limousine and started taking pictures until we were able to get out. And he added, I was concerned about Prince Harry and his wife, but more about the public, because the paparazzi were being so erratic. People were on sidewalks and crossing streets, and the paparazzi were crossing red lights. We did everything by the letter of the law. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Thank you, at least, for trying your best to be level-headed and for having compassion in your heart to do your best to protect Harry and Meghan, but also to not gaslight them. You know, people are not just people. This whole system of the industry, of the tabloid media, is just to gaslight them, to make it seem like the things that they go through aren't as grave as they are. This is serious. So it goes on to say, but the taxi driver who picked up the Sussexes from the New York City Police Department's 19th precinct, where they had gone to in an attempt to lose paparazzi, amazing, wonderful, prudent, very, very wise choice, told the Washington Post he didn't feel threatened. So this is where it gets me. I don't like this taxi driver. Like, even just reading just this, like, it didn't seem that serious to you, because at this point, I have to imagine, just imagine this. You know, Harry and Meghan, they arrive at this event, literally, like I said, before I went to sleep. You know, I had just posted a video about how proud I was, how beautiful they looked at the Women of Vision Awards. You know, Harry, Meghan, and Doria, they were glowing, you know, and everyone was so excited about their arrival. Just to think a couple or a few hours later, utter chaos devolve because people are so concerned about getting that $10,000 shot, about selling that $20,000 picture to the Mail or the Sun or whatever it is. You know, to just think about that. And to think about the terror that Harry and Meghan could have felt as parents, to think that they weren't going to be going home to Archie and Lily that night. And this taxi driver had to see that. He had to see how absolutely disheveled and emotionally sort of riled up they had to be. At this point, they had to be really, really emotional. So for you to sit there and say, oh, I didn't feel threatened. I feel like anything wasn't going on. I don't understand. It's just like, dude, what planet are you living on? Do you have a heart in there? So the article goes on to say the driver said Meghan and Harry's security asked him to drive back to the station out of concern their location would be shared with more people. I'm so proud of them. Harry and Meghan are so smart. I mean, this system that they've been thrown into the wolves to is so vicious, so savage, and so inhumane. But I have one hope. You know what? I have two hopes. I have one in God and the other one in them, because they're so intelligent. They're so smart. Because think about it. If Princess Diana and the people who were in that car with her that day in Paris, just imagine if they would have tried to make their way to the police station. I mean, that those events probably could have played out differently. We don't know for sure if they could have, but I think it was a very, very wise part on Harry and Meghan and Doria to go to the police precinct. So it goes on to say, I don't think I would call it a chase. I never felt I was in danger. It wasn't like a car chase in a movie. They were quiet and seemed scared, but it's New York. It's safe. Gaslighting, but whatever, you know. It goes on to say, it's clear the press, the paparazzi, they want to get the right shot, Mayor Adams said. But public safety must always be at the forefront. Thank you, Mayor Adams. Thank you so much. You know, and like I said, the Sun goes in here and tries to, as always, you know, diminish what Harry and Meghan is going through. All of those trashy UK tabloids that are like owned by Rupert Murdoch and whatever those other two monopolies, you know, those well, I guess you can't really call it a monopoly because monopoly is one, but I guess the three of the big named tabloid companies in the UK, those are all leaning very right. Those are all leaning very, very sort of trashy tabloid celebrity clickbaity headline type stuff. And so of course they always, always, always diminish what Harry and Meghan go through. And you know what? Just pause here for a second on Mayor Adams. I also have to say, maybe we wouldn't be here if a long time ago the Crown had really, really put forth, how do you say it? How do you want to say it? You know, a gesture. If they really had shown a goodwill gesture from the beginning, and not just a goodwill gesture, but consistent gestures from the beginning to show that the unethical, unsafe, harassing, aggressive behavior from the media, from the paparazzi, is not normal. You know, if they from the very beginning would have shown, hey, let's not normalize this. This is not normal. This is not safe. This is not humane. If they would have done that from the beginning, maybe a mentality shift would have already started to happen, and maybe we wouldn't be here today. But anyway, I think, you know, like I said, some of those tabloid medias, they try to sort of diss what Mayor Adams said. But I think that from what I'm seeing here, he showed that he kind of had the successes back, and I'm really thankful for that. It goes on to say, New York City is different from a small town somewhere. You shouldn't be speeding anywhere. But this is a densely populated city, he added, noting that the amount of traffic and movement and people on the streets. The article goes on to say it is understood that the Sussexes believe the pursuit, which is said to have involved 6 blacked out vehicles, could have been fatal. I'm sorry, not should have, Lord. Could have been fatal. Prince Harry's mother, Princess Diana, died in 1997 from injuries sustained in a car crash after trying to flee paparazzi who were following her vehicle. You know, and after that, it just kind of goes on to talk about how Prince Harry has spoke on his mother's passing in the past, and the parallels that he sees between, you know, the stalking that he and Meghan have experienced from paparazzi today. Guys, this is really, really hard. This is really, really hard. Hi, Courtien. So Courtien says, may God continue to provide Harry and Meghan. They wanted to hurt them. It's not about pictures. They got enough pictures. Why so many cars, bikes, etc.? God is watching. I am with you. I am so with you. Thank you for saying that. It's certainly very sad indeed, and we just have to keep praying. I pray so much for them, almost as like they're siblings, like a big brother and sister to me. But you know, they truly are the people's princess and prince, and it just makes me so sad to see that the world has just shunned them, shown them not even a modicum of humanity and humility, you know. And so many of these people claim to be Christians. I can't see in any way how you can have Jesus in your heart and turn two victims into liars, or, you know, baby bump fakers, whatever it is, you know. I just so the Sun, let me just, so there was this article from Morgan Johnson on the Sun entitled Harry Fears, I was Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's dry. Oh, okay, so it's labeled Harry Fears. And then it says, I was Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's driver. Chase claims are exaggerated, and there was no reason to be afraid. So to make it very clear, you see the Sun here is taking what I just said was this taxi driver, who I didn't deem to really have much emotional intelligence or empathy or compassion around the situation. He sort of just gaslit Harry and Meghan's like, oh, I don't know what they talk. So of course, that's who the Sun chose to focus on. You know, LBC chose to focus on the photographers and what was at fault with the paparazzi photographers. MSNBC chose to take an angle of emotional intelligence and empathy and basically just say, hey, this is what happened, and it's very, very unfortunate. CNN chose to say, oh, this was an alleged car chase. You see the patterns here eventually. You see the patterns. So this was an article from USA Today. I'm not going to say this article is the most empathetic towards the Sussexes. There are some things in here that I don't like, but in general, I like the way that this really laid it out. And this is kind of a long article, so yes, let's just go through this. So, but it has a lot of information in it that I found to be really helpful. So this was posted 29 minutes ago. Well, at this point, this was like maybe an hour ago at this point, 45 minutes or an hour ago. And this is from Terry Collins from USA Today, labeled Security Experts Challenge Details of Harry and Meghan's Chaotic Chase with Paparazzi. Now, like I told you guys, when I go and I look up different Success Squad content, I'm very, very wary of like what I will choose to look at, because I don't want to listen to anyone who's gaslighting them. I'm done with those types of publications. So when I saw Challenge, when I saw Security Experts Challenge, it gave me a bad taste in my mouth. It reminded me of all of those articles about royal experts challenge Harry and Meghan's Oprah interview, royal experts challenge the Spare memoir. And so that put a bad taste in my mouth, and it gave me some bad memories of all those other things. So, but still, something told me to click into it. And when I did, I noticed, hey, this could actually really be helpful for the future, because this stuff needs to be cut out. Two things need to happen, like I said. Policy needs to change so that cities are safer and have anti-paparazzi laws that keep celebrities safe, because they're people too. And also, initiatives need to be paid for by the government for mentality shifts that get people to stop being so obsessive with celebrities. So the article says, while there may be some debate on whether Prince Harry and his wife Meghan were involved in a near catastrophic car chase with paparazzi in New York City Tuesday night, two renowned private security experts who work with famous people believe they might not have taken the proper precautions. Now, I have to admit, as much as I love Harry and Meghan, this was one of my thoughts as well. I thought, hey, weren't there better measures taken in place, I guess, with the routes or something, with the road routes where they could have done something to prevent this? The article goes on to say they likely did not have any formal protective training to deal with this type of situation, said Kent Moyer, president and CEO of the LA-based World Protection, I missed that, World Protection Group. Just to kind of digest a little bit of that first. When I saw the Harry and Meghan documentary on Netflix, Christopher Boozy, I was so thankful for Christopher Boozy because his company Bot Sentinel did a lot of research into those hate campaigns with Twitter. Experts are such a crucial part of keeping the Sussexes thriving, well, safe, because these people, whether it be in security, whether it be in driving, whether it be in cybersecurity, the Sussexes really, really have to do the best that they can to get the best experts, but not only the best experts, but the ones who really understand what they've been through, who really sympathize with what they've been through, and who will do their best to advocate for them. The crown could very, very clearly pay for those types of experts to help Harry and Meghan. They have been able to do that from the beginning, but they have not. So World Protection Group goes on to say, did they do any prior route planning? I thought that too, like maybe they can block off routes. Maybe they can do, I don't know. Did someone do any sort of surveillance? Exactly. That's exactly where my thoughts would be. And what was the plan to get out of a potential problem? And did their security have any evasive driving training? Exactly. I feel like whatever security detail that Harry and Meghan have, I feel like these need to be like friggin' FBI level trained driving. Like it's obvious that security, when you're with that actual physical person, when you're walking down the street, you're walking on a red carpet, you're walking into a club, they've got to be physically fit to run, to punch, to, attack if they need to, or rather take defense if they need to. They need to be able to protect you. I get that. But there's also that level of being in the vehicle with that celebrity person. They've got to be able to have some serious training, driving skills, and so I hope that Harry and Meghan really take a look at this. So the article goes on to say Jerry Haying, the president and CEO of the New York-based International Protection Group, agrees and asks, did they have enough personnel with their detail? Same thing I asked. So we hear about Mr. Sanchez and we hear about the taxi driver. Those are the only two people that I've heard about. Like, I'm reading this article in real time with you, so maybe I will come upon other stuff. But for the most part, it sounds like it was very sparse. Their group, their team. Harry, Meghan, if you guys are out there, if by any chance you're listening to my little channel, guys, strengthen up that team. Get you more bodies in there. You need hands on deck. So the article goes on to say, despite social media and smartphones allowing celebrities, dignitaries, and other notable figures more direct interaction with fans directly, redundant. Okay, the public's lust for paparazzi shots is still voracious. Voracious? I never said that word. Begging the question, are paparazzi a danger in the US? And that's another thing, guys. That's another thing that sort of crossed my mind. You know, we've seen Harry and Meghan go through that stuff in the UK. We know that they experienced a lot of stuff like this in the UK. And in certain terms, they were protected from this when they actually were working senior royals back in the UK, you know. But in the US, that it just seems very out of character for New York City. I've lived in New York City. Seems very out of character for US type culture. I feel like, and you guys let me know what you think in the comments, but I feel like everything in my bones tells me that these were higher hands of the trashy UK tabloids. But even if they were, you know, it happened on US soil. So, I mean, over the coming days and weeks, I'm going to be checking into what I can do to maybe start a petition online or look into what the New York office can do. Maybe we can send some tweets to the New York City mayor or the precinct or something, because clearly some policies, some considerations for these type of things, if they occur in the future, need to be put into place. So it goes on to say, no, Moyer and Jerry Haying say, but celebs and popular people need to have better coordination when appearing in public and dealing with those photographers who are paid to shoot nearly every move they make. Well, I get that, to put the responsibility on the celebrities, but I think that the responsibility also needs to fall on the structures in place. The experts say most celebrities use what they call executive dignitary protection, a security detail that can go to great lengths at times to ensure safety and is comparable to the Secret Service. Did I not just say it? I'm reading this article in real time with you. Did I not just say their drivers need to be like FBI level trained to do the bobbing and weaving and everything? You know, when you see those movies when they're going down, you know, alleyways, I know that's dramatized, but they seriously, it can't just be a strong muscly dude, you know, or dudes or women or whatever security team with Harry and Meghan to protect their physical person while they're walking on the street. They also need expert drivers. It goes on to say, we call that advance work, said Haying, whose companies have helped support the Secret Service's protection of former presidents George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama. You see? That like I'm not trying to make Harry and Meghan, even though I love them so much and we love them so much, I'm not trying to make them seem as important as George H.W. Bush or Bill Clinton or Barack Obama, but this is what they need. It's clear this is what they need until some reforms are made on the systems in place, including, like we said, policy, initiatives to change mentalities and to raise awareness. Until those things are really, really intentionally done and people don't have to fear for their lives like this, I think they gotta put out the big bucks and spend money at the put out the big bucks on the really good Secret Service level security and drivers. The article goes on to say, we can get notice from a client sometimes months, weeks, days, sometimes hours in advance. Depending on who they are, we coordinate with that city's local police precinct if necessary and reach out to the venue where they were supposed to be and likely ask, what door are we going to coming out of, and how close can our detail get to the entrance and the exits? Exactly. This is exactly it. You know, maybe they should hire him. Maybe the Sussexes should look into this Haying guy or Kent Moyer. I think they should contact him. The article goes on to say, Harry, Meghan claimed car chase with Paps. Okay, so I think that's a link. So it goes on to say, Duke and Duchess reps said the couple were in near collisions. The official office of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex said the couple and Meghan's mother, Doria Ragland, were followed for more than 2 hours by half a dozen vehicles Tuesday after leaving a charity event. The three were in New York City for the MS Foundation for Women's annual gala, where Meghan accepted the MS Foundation Women of Vision Award. The article goes on to say in a statement to USA Today Wednesday, the couple's office said that the paparazzi's chase to capture photos of Harry and Meghan resulted in multiple near collisions involving other drivers on the road, pedestrians, and two NYPD officers. What more do you need to know? That this is utter toxicity. That this should not be like this. Celebrities are not, this is not the culture that we want. The article goes on to say the statement called the incident near catastrophic. While being a public figure comes with a level of interest from the public, it should never come at the cost of anyone's safety, the statement said. Dissemination of these images, given the ways in which they were obtained, encourages a highly intrusive practice that is dangerous to all involved. You can tell this article was written fast. That's the second typo I saw, and I'm terrible with typos, so yeah, you know it's gonna be bad when I catch it. So the article goes on to say, New York City Police spokesman Julian Phillips told USA Today in an emailed statement that the NYPD assisted in protecting the Duke and Duchess along with their private security team. There were numerous photographers that made their transport challenging, he said. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex arrived at their destination and there were no reported collisions, summonses, injuries, or arrests in regard. It goes on to say if NYD was attached to them, this chase, and again, chase, like I said, I don't like that. I don't like that because what it sounds like is that you're questioning the victim's account. Anyway, if NYPD was attached to them, this chase could not have happened for this long. It's just not possible. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Haying. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Literally, why wasn't the police driving in front of them and behind them? I mean, if you the US is not the UK. Like if you go to the police precinct and say, "Listen, we have dealt with death threats, insanity for a decade. We need a police squad. We need a squad car to follow us." They'll do it. They'll do it. Why didn't they put these measures in place? I love the successes, but guys, come on. You know what your background has been. That this is, I think this is the moment where Sussex Squad needs to just give Harry and Meghan a little slap on the hand like your mom and dad do. So the article goes on to say, you would pull in there and say, these people are chasing us, and the police would stop and question them, and the paparazzi would likely drive away. Moyer said if Harry and Meghan had a security detail of 2 or more cars, they would have tried strategies, including having one or more vehicles in the rear driving slower to try and hit red lights, exactly, and stall the paparazzi's relentless pursuit while the lead principal car drives ahead and can possibly take alternative routes. Yes. To me, with them not having an expert like this Hagen guy or this Moyer person, that's kind of like going into war without, sort of a chief of battle or what I'm not a war expert. What would you call that? A war chief. That's like going into war without a war chief, man. You got to have your expert at hand. So it goes on to say the rest of the detail would eventually catch up with the lead car. Okay. New York's mayor even wonders if Harry and Meghan were in actual chase. So it goes on to say, and I said this article is very long. It goes on to say the New York City Mayor Eric Adams expressed doubt that the car chase lasted 2 hours. Now, this is where you guys heard what the mayor said before. He basically took a stance and said, hey, this wasn't fair to Harry and Meghan. This wasn't fair to the pedestrians. This incident was unfortunate, and we need to see what we can do in future to prevent something like this from happening again, But of course, some of the trashy media is going to pick up this part, him saying that he doubted that the chase lasted 2 hours. Now, my 2 cents on that, I don't think that the chase itself particularly might have lasted 2 hours. Yes, but I definitely think this whole ordeal probably lasted quite long and was very, very draining and very, very scary for Harry and Meghan. So it goes on to say, I would find it hard to believe that there was a high-speed 2-hour car chase, Adams said Wednesday. But if it's a 10-minute chase, it's extremely dangerous in New York City. We have a lot of traffic, a lot of movement, a lot of people are using our streets. Any type of high-speed chase that involves something of that nature is inappropriate. So of course that gets taken out of context. You see here that he's saying, maybe the chase wasn't an entire 2 hours, but any chase in this context is inappropriate. It's inappropriate. So Chris Sanchez, a member of the Duke and Duchess security detail, told CNN Wednesday they were dealing with about a dozen vehicles, including cars, scooters, and a bicycle. Hi, Karen. So Karen says, I believe the Pops were hired and imported. I said the same thing. I don't know if you were here a few moments back, but I said the exact same thing. I believe the Pops were hired and imported from Britain. The photos showed up on the British press website and then taken down. The article has so many inconsistencies, so do more research. Yes, 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 yes. I agree with you. That's what I said. I particularly like this article because I like what Haying and Moyer are saying about Harry and Meghan having the necessity to increase their security detail in a way that the Secret Service and some of these bigger protection agencies use. But I said, I'm not sure if you were here before, the USA Today sometimes has those kind of like Daily Mail of the US or Sun type vibes, but I'm in complete agreement. I really truly feel like these were goons, the paparazzi, the drivers, the people on the scooters. I really feel like these were goons for the British monarchy. But nonetheless, I'm still going to finish with this article because I do think it's interesting. So it says, while there are no anti-paparazzi laws in New York, California has one that prohibits paparazzi from trespassing on private property, using telephoto lenses to survey private property, or pursuing targets in cars. And that thought occurred to me too. I definitely think, as I lived in New York back in 2000 and probably about 2012. It was like 2 years before I graduated undergrad. And I was doing an internship there, and I was living in Brooklyn. I was on Broadway, so I could go straight to my internship. But I was living in Harlem. Like, I was living on Broadway. Like, you could go straight down to Times Square, but it was kind of in a rougher area. And I was literally paying so much money to stay with like this Cuban family. And I mean, I was making good money, but then when I had work in Santa Monica, I was making much more money, even though it's more expensive there. And the transportation system isn't the same. The infrastructure of the city isn't the same. And I think that the Hollywood culture in California sort of shifts the approach a little bit. I think that in California, there are many more Hollywood celebrities. I mean, it's actually where Hollywood is. So it would make sense to me that the state of California would have better anti-paparazzi laws than New York. So it goes on to say, experts say that they still use Princess Diana's tragic death in their training. This really occurred to me because I can't imagine what Harry was feeling. I bet that this was dredging up so much trauma for him. Like, oh, man, I think that Meghan is his security blanket and vice versa. So at least they had each other through this. And I know it didn't end in a tragedy, but knowing the background, I just cannot imagine how Harry was feeling at this point. So it says, experts say they still use Princess Diana's tragic death in their training. Both Haying and Moyer say they still use the 1997 death of Harry's mother, Princess Diana, as an example in their security training. She was killed in a car crash in Paris in 1997 while trying to avoid the paparazzi. It goes on to say, as unfortunate as that tragedy was, we still use that as a case of study of what not to do. Where's the threat? Haying said. My company's policy when dealing with paparazzi is to go slow and diligently and make sure you don't endanger the client or anybody else. It continues, were Harry and Meghan frightened? Probably so. Remember, paparazzi is an Italian word for pest. Wow, 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 wow. When my husband gets home, I'm going to ask him about that because I think Italian is kind of close to Portuguese. So I wonder if the word in Portuguese is similar. Pest. Can you believe that? Pest. It's so accurate. They're bothersome, but you don't want to cause harm. Oh my God, there's so many typos in here. You don't want to cause harm all for some photos. Okay, I get what you're saying. You don't want to cause harm to get some photos. What does this incident say about society? Now, this is exactly what I wanted to get into, and it's what I want to wrap up with. To talk about the bigger question for society. We know that policies can be put into place. We know that Harry and Meghan can put different measures into place so that their security detail is more efficient, more proactive in situations like this and better trained to handle extreme situations like this. But also there is this bigger question for society. And that's more what I'm interested in, because I feel like for something like this, policies shouldn't be in place for you to have to see that you're endangering your life, other people's lives, and the life of your target, your victim. So it says, Vanessa Diaz, a professor and author of the book Manufacturing Celebrity, Latino Paparazzi, and Women Reporters in Hollywood, encourages people to use this incident as a way to examine celebrity culture at large. I'm always talking about this. You guys know I'm always talking about these amateur detectives on TikTok and Twitter stalking celebrities and adding 1 and 1 to get 18. It just doesn't work. So Vanessa goes on to say, rather than demonize paparazzi, many of whom, she says, come from disenfranchised backgrounds. Okay, we're getting to the real deal here. And do this work out of necessity. Now, I do know that paparazzi can get a good penny for that money. And, as an artist myself, I work in advertising, but my love started with just visual arts. Paparazzis, I know many of them are passionate artists. I know many of them are photographers, and they sort of probably just landed into paparazzi work because oftentimes as an artist, you're going to be struggling. You have to accept that your road to success in your career often needs to come with waiting or driving Uber or whatever it is. Between the ages of 16 and 20, I worked at the International House of Pancakes. I get it. I get you got to get your money, but come on, don't forget your ethics. So it ends the article, this article that is as long as the Old Testament, ends with saying it's a really easy scapegoat to kick the people who are already at the bottom of the entertainment system, who are already disparaged, instead of actually dealing with the power structures that demand the labor. I hear that. She says we have to think a lot more critically about how these situations are framed and what bigger kind of power dynamics are really at play here. Instead of placing the blame entirely on the paparazzi, Diaz says broader issues like our culture's obsession with celebrities and the financial incentives in society for glimpses at their personal lives also contributed. Let's talk about this for a moment. I don't want to make this live 3 billion years long. And so after this, we will wrap it up. But I do want to talk about this for a moment because I think that she hits it on the, I think she hits the nail on the head here. And I would love to know what you guys think. If you have some thoughts or some prayers, please feel free to put them in the comments. But I do think that there is a bigger question here for society at large. Something not completely the same, but another thing that's irked me, like it's irked me that Harry and Meghan have been hunted down like, prime game for a decade, is also what's going on with Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber. It's just like this whole toxic cycle of people quite literally stalking Justin and Haley, and coming up with all of their ideas about what's going on in their marriage. And if you would just see it, maybe it doesn't interest you as much as Harry and Meghan, but if you would just go on TikTok and Twitter and YouTube even, and look at how much people have just been insinuating completely independently about two people's marriage, and they feel that they have the right to do that because these people are in the public eye. It's just insane. If you go on YouTube and you look at, I think it's labeled something like 10 times fans got up on stage with celebrities. Somebody almost dragged Beyonce off of a stage once. Someone came up and tried to hug Taylor Swift on stage. And it's just, the celebrity culture, it's really, 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 really concerns me. And we can have these people that we admire. I love Harry and Meghan just as much as the next person. I think that they're extremely authentic individuals. I love the social justice work that they do. I love the fact that they rose up from extreme adversity and dealing with what they dealt with in the royal family and rising above that. I love what Harry went through with losing a parent, and he somehow rise above that, became a veteran, became a dad, a husband. I love that Meghan was way independent before she even met Harry, and she sort of meshed into royal life maybe a little bit too good for some people's taste. I love all of that. But I'm not constantly trying to make assumptions about their marriage. I'm not stalking them down to get a picture. I'm not sending them hate 24/7. And if there is one culprit here that we have to look at for this incident, what Vanessa said is right. We have to look at those power structures in place. We have to look at the bigger social and systemic question of why we feel like we own celebrities. We don't own them. But I'm going to end it there, guys. I'm going to just be praying deeply, 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 because like I said, last night, I literally, right like 10 minutes after I posted a video, after editing and posting a video about how proud I was of them when they showed up to the Women of Visions Award, looking so, happy, I literally got in the bed, an alert came on my tablet and said that they were in this almost catastrophic chase. And so I just had to get on here and do a live real quick. And I'm going to be continuing to do more research into seeing what can be done in way of making better laws so this stuff doesn't happen, and also mentality shifts that can be done. And hopefully, Harry and Meghan really, they take the appropriate measures to get a security detail that's going to that's going to be like Secret Service on their butts, that's going to keep them safe. So let's end it there, guys. I'm so happy you're here. I love you, squaddies. If you're new to this channel, please do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video. And I will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful Ascension Day and a wonderful day for everyone else. And I hope you're enjoying the sun. Much love to you. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. See you later. Bye.